What's up, everybody? Welcome to 9 Nerd Yards. Episode 7 of Atlanta was another one-off episode about a family dealing with the death of their nanny from Trinidad. Before I get into this episode breakdown, I want to explain that this one is going to be a bit different. I got help. In April, this channel grew over 3,000 subs, and the amount of comments and support I got from all of you is amazing. So much so that when I was writing my thoughts for this episode, a subscriber hit me up on Twitter and told me to talk to him before I put this video out. His name is Dion, a super cool dude and writer from Trinidad that brought a completely new perspective to the episode for me. So what I did was start a 9 Nerd Yards Discord, dreamed the episode with Dion one-on-one, and he gave me his thoughts throughout the episode. It was really cool. So this episode will include a lot of segments from our conversation. I will also be posting the link for the 9 Nerd Yards Discord, so if anyone else is interested in talking about Atlanta and other projects I'm working on, feel free to join the Discord and come hang out. But for now, let's get into the episode. Episode 7, Trini to the Bone, starts us off following a white guy taking a jog through his neighborhood. He gets home to his high-rise apartment where he is surprised to see his kid Sebastian is still sitting around watching Proud Family on his tablet. The nanny, Sylvia, has apparently not come in that morning to take him to school. The mom is frustrated because she can't find her keys and the kid won't eat his eggs Benedict because it's too bland.
Can you try the bread?
I don't like that.
Why not?
It's bland.
What, do you want me to put something on it for you?
Spicy curry mango.
Sebastian needs some spicy curry mango sauce to add some heat to it. This is what Dion had to say about that. And so you were saying from the beginning of the episode?
Yeah, it was extremely funny, bro. Like, the jokes that were made were, like, you could tell that the writer is either Trinidadian or has been around Trinidadian people for a long time.
Yeah.
To be able to notice some of the things that he wrote into the script, I thought it was brilliant. So even I had to talk to my mom about it, about how Trini it was, you know.
Oh, really?
The child saying that he didn't want to eat his food, and then he said it was bland. First of all, what white child is saying the food is too bland? He clearly has like influence elsewhere.
I love that
Right.
they had the sauce in the fridge. They didn't
curry
even
mango,
know.
right?
Yeah, they had no idea that was even in there, and it was like labeled and everything.
But taking it a step further, bro, if you go into the average fridge in Trinidad and Tobago, you'd see a container just like that.
That's in there.
With masking tape
Okay.
as the label. Also, the father tasting the curry afterwards, the curry mango, and then saying, "How is that slight pepper?" The amount of times that I've heard that, not only from foreigners visiting Trinidad, but even Trinidadians, actually, as a matter of fact. So slight meaning just a little bit of
Yeah,
pepper, right?
yeah,
it's
right,
not supposed to
right,
be too hot. It's just hot to taste, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, I went out with some friends just earlier this week, and we ate doubles, which I'll explain in a bit. It's like a street food in Trinidad. And I asked the doubles man for slight pepper, and bro, my mouth is burning so much after eating it, and I'm like, I said slight, like.
Oh my God. Oh, how's that slight pepper?
The family gets a call from Sylvia's family member notifying them that she passed. The family also gets a knock at the door, and it's a package for Sylvia. There's a slight mystery about the package because even the doorman doesn't even know who delivered it. The mom takes Sebastian to school, and it's clear that the parents are very distant from the kid and don't really know his routine or what he likes. Not in the way that Sylvia did. I mean, the parents didn't even bother showing up for the family picture day and were the only parents that didn't show up.
You know, his teacher asked me why we weren't at family picture day. In front of him.
What? I mean, we could have been the only parents.
Right? I mean, seriously.
The parents are debating on how to tell Sebastian that Sylvia passed away, and later that night they do a horrible job of letting him know.
They might fall asleep and not wake up.
That happened to me?
No. No.
No way.
That only happens when you're really old.
But you're both old.
Sylvia died.
This is where things get a bit weird because they get another knock at the door that turns out to be the same package for Sylvia. However, the father doesn't want to open it because it's clearly addressed to her. The father and the parents decide to take Sebastian to the funeral because Sylvia was obviously a big part of his life and it could be an important experience for him. The mom says she wants the next nanny to be a bit more metropolitan, and I'm pretty sure we all know what that means, but the dad retorts that it would be too expensive. Sebastian is also being a creepy little kid and sneaks sneaks up on his parents so his mom can rub his back and sing him a lullaby. It's revealed that Trini to the Bone, the episode title, is actually what he prefers to fall asleep to. Here's what Dion had to say about that.
Oh God, the scene where the boy was feeling worried and couldn't sleep, and he said, she usually rubs my back when I'm feeling worried. And the mother came in, started rubbing his back, and by saying that the nanny usually sings a song to him when he can't sleep, and it was Sweet Sweet TNT, it's such an iconic and patriotic song from Trinidad and Tobago, about Trinidad and Tobago. And it's just funny because that's like, if you go to anybody of a certain age range in Trinidad and you ask them like who their favorite artist is, local artist, they'd probably tell you David Redder, and they'd probably say, which is the artist who wrote and sang that song. And they'd probably say Sweet TNT, or they may say Trini to the Bone, which is the other song that the episode is named after, the one that played in the funeral, right? And it's like, wow, look at that now, like that's exactly. Such a real representation of exactly what happened, or exactly what the reality is in Trinidad and Tobago. So I was very, very appreciative of that.
How do you feel about the song then?
The song itself?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's iconic.
Yeah, I mean it bangs though, right? Like
that thing. You can't not love that song.
Oh my God,
and
bangs.
I should also say, the genre is soca, which is direct descendant of the mother genre, which is calypso.
Okay.
Calypso being our original and main art form, spin-off from West African kaiso. Okay. Right, so it would have come across the Atlantic via the slave trade. Over time, with the Afro-Trinbagonians or Afro-Trinidadians more than Trinbagonians, Trinbagonian being a colloquial term for Trinidadian and Tobagonian. So again, some history or geography. Right. It's two islands, one country. Right. Or two main islands, I should say. Right. One country. So Trinidad and Tobago. And Trinidad has a high population of not only people of African descent based on the slave trade, but also East Indian descent, as in from India, because after slavery was abolished in 1834, the British also needed, the Africans kind of refused to work for them after that. There was supposed to be an apprenticeship period, which the Africans kind of realized wasn't working out. So after 4 years, they had to stop the apprenticeship period. And they started looking for cheap labor across the world. They brought Chinese people, Syrians, Lebanese. They brought other Africans that ended up just doing their own thing, and they have their own story and development, historical development. And then the largest population of people that they also brought Portuguese, that's what I was forgetting. And the largest population of people that they brought across would have been from East India. They brought over 500,000 people, I think it was, over the span of about 90 years. And our population now consists of just about equal parts of Afro-Trinbagonians and Indo-Trinbagonians. Just about 40% each, and the remaining 20% is made up of all the other places that I listed before, and of course like mixed race and whatnot, right?
I just want to call you out, bro, for doing your goddamn research. Like, break out the percentages on me, man.
I'm doing a lot of work on that front, just ensuring that I can represent my country as best as possible,
It's in the rocking chair and sings the Sweet TNT song.
What?
Sweet TNT. Trini to the Bone.
Oh, well, I don't know that song.
The next day, the family is on the way to the funeral, and they already seem uncomfortable driving through the neighborhood.
We are out there.
Practically in the islands.
They are approached by Sylvia's daughter, and we get a sweet scene with Sebastian laying down game. In this little scene, there is a lot of slang or sweet moments. I'm pretty sure y'all knew what they were talking about, but this is what Dion had to say about it.
Which is a crucial scene in terms of like...
I love
really
that interaction you know, how the parents were just so uncomfortable with
They were
how
completely
they
lost.
yeah, they were completely lost and they were uncomfortable with everything, and how well Sebastian
How in
vibed.
tune he was with
He was in
everything.
tune. He
Yep.
just knew the culture so well, and I
Yep.
love
Yep.
that so much.
Yep.
But just for our less informed viewers, let's kind of break down that interaction. I'm gonna throw that back up just because, you know, he does use some terms, right?
Cockroach. Richard, stop it. Trust me, it's not as bad as it sounds.
Cockroach has no place at foul party.
Okay, so cockroach.
Cockroach, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, can you break that down a little bit?
So, well, you know what a cockroach is, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's not fun.
We got rats in Chicago, actually.
Which Sebastian said, right, is cockroach have no right in foul party,
Okay.
or cockroach have no right or don't belong in foul party. And if you think about this statement, because a lot of these sayings, like a child may hear it and just know what it means instinctively, but what, like, growing up now and like looking back on these things, they are actually like very brilliant ways of saying it's, saying a lot without saying too much.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
they're like, you know, cultural euphemisms or whatever.
Correct, exactly. And that one specifically means cockroaches have no place where fowls party, right? Fowls being chickens. And the cockroaches then would simply be out of place. They're insects running around where these much larger birds are also running around. They'd be stepped on. So the euphemism is actually referring to staying within your social class.
Oh, okay. So that's why they didn't even like answer them when they pulled up.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like, what you doing here?
Yeah.
You know, why are you here? You don't belong here, kind of
Cockroach.
thing.
Okay.
You know?
But
And
little did they
generally
know
speaking,
that Sebastian was on game.
after Sebastian said the full statement, that's why she turned to him and said,
Do you know what that means? You must be Sebastian. Mommy used to call you her little curry mouth because you love a roti and it is eat plenty. As mommy used to say, it's better belly bust than good food waste.
You know me, heart.
you know, so full that you're feeling like your belly is literally gonna explode
Yeah, exactly.
than good food waste. You know,
And
so
that's how you
very straightforward. Very straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's something we've adopted from the motherland as well. I have to say motherlands as well, but more so Africa in this instance. You
Oh,
know, I
yeah.
feel like the culture is very similar over there as well.
Yeah, gotta grub for sure. Gotta grub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that also like spans all cultures, you know. Everyone's got to finish their plate and get those segments or whatever. I think it's kind of funny because the phrasing for that in America is starving kids in Africa or whatever. Yeah, you know that.
I was raised on that. My father would often say, what was it, boy? There are children starving in Botswana right now. And we were sitting at the dinner table being ungrateful.
Before they get into the funeral, we also see a little Easter egg of a Paperboy homecoming tour, which I am so hoping we get to see this season. But anyway, the family gets into the funeral and we get greeted by all of Sylvia's family, a motley crew of different characters, including Chet Hanks, that Sylvia used to nanny before Sebastian. I asked Dion what he thinks about Chet Hanks. Dion doesn't give Chet Hanks any mind, and I don't think many people should either, but I just thought this was a genius cameo. I'm going to play mine and Dion's conversation about the funeral.
Right. Once they get into the funeral, it's very customary for, I'll say, two things to happen that did occur. For people to be interacting with those who present themselves to be outsiders, because we are people that enjoy having others feel welcome in their space. Right, in our space. And so that's one. And then two, the uncle who's promoting himself. He came to the funeral to network.
Yeah,
You know, he's looking for hire, and especially in the States, because something that you wouldn't know because they didn't give enough information. When the priest was talking about, I think Sylvia is the name. I think I finally figured out what the name is. Yes, Sylvia. So when he was talking about Sylvia, he said that she moved to the US a long time ago and she's been living there ever since.
many Trinidadians who moved to the US 40, 50 years ago have not been able to return because they're actually living there illegally. And it's not just Trinidadians.
Once
There's
that visa
just a lot of
expires,
people.
then people just get caught
Exactly.
up here.
Exactly. There's a lot of people who've migrated to the US and are now living what was being referred to there, and even how the priest said, she'd always care for her family back at home by sending money. That's the most that she could have done, and that also adds a lot of context to why one of her daughters would burst into tears basically at the podium saying, why are we doing this? Like, she was there for everybody else, but she was never there for us. Like, it makes a whole lot of sense when you take that into consideration, because
I thought that part was so touching. Just the grind.
Yeah.
I mean, the grind that a lot of immigrants do have to go through while taking care of another person's kids, missing out on their own kids' accomplishments. That just happens, and it's almost accepted as the norm.
I've heard stories from the people themselves. Once they got to the States, any job they could get is what they're taking. They're mopping floors in kitchens, but they have master's degrees.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just because
very educated.
We scared, yeah? It's okay. We just sad. This is how we sad.
This is how we sad is one of the best lines in the show. For some reason, I just felt that so much.
Explosion of grief in the funeral as well. So people really just the how much pain can come out of not being in touch or in connection with your family as much as is necessary now. That's what I get from it. But as a Trinidadian, I just feel like they hit the nail on the head so well. I mean, I just saw somebody, actually an artist from Trinidad, tweet why they had to cause a scene in the Trinidad in a Trinidadian funeral, right? And I'm like, you completely missed the point.
But the family leaves when the funeral descends into chaos, and the worst part is my man Bastion even gets some food on the way out.
Oh, isn't you crazy, princess? Hey, but what you really doing here? Hey. World Star! World Star is a
I also like on the way home, the dad has the song stuck in his head, and the mom is looking at him like, what the fuck did I just experience? Later that night, the parents get home, and we get another creepy scene that I can't put my finger on. Sebastian says goodnight to Sylvia, and they cut to an empty chair.
Good night, Sylvia.
And that is a play straight out of the Invisible Man playbook. Is Sylvia really in that chair or not? I think it's so funny how much an empty chair can convey an emotion and creep me out. The parents discuss the day's events, and the mom seems disturbed while the dad is fascinated in the culture that he seems to have been ignoring the whole time this woman, Sylvia, has been taking care of his own kid.
Oh my gosh. Hey, hon, you know the origin of the limbo dance? I mean, apparently slaves would do it to mimic going down in the hold of a slave ship.
We do the right thing.
At the end of the episode, they get another knock at the door in the middle of the night. It's the package. So the dad finally decides to open it. It's the family pictures that Sylvia took with Sebastian. So here's what I think. Running with the themes of the other one-offs of Ghost, I believe Sylvia was the ghost in this episode, making sure that Sebastian got the family photos. Her way of coming back to say goodbye, as Sebastian said earlier in the episode. Let me go ahead and play these closing statements of the episode with Dion. There was a dynamic between the two parents, right? Like how the mom was like, against the grain. But I did notice how like the dad, the episode opens with him, jogging through the neighborhood, listening to rap, getting himself hyped up. But I think that it was just like a hint, kind of like openness or ideology. At the end, after it was all said and done, he was like, no, our kid needed to be there for this. when the mom was like, no, that was, you know.
I think there's two parts to it, because I don't think the mother is entirely closed off to other cultures, specifically when she said, you know, like they could get a Chinese nanny so that he could learn Mandarin. But I think she's thinking about it.
Yeah, that was weird.
I think she's thinking about it more in like an economic sense, like what's going to
like she wants her kid to be more cultured, but herself is not. Almost.
She's closed off, but she sees how it can benefit her child's life. She's grieving the fact that she hasn't connected with her child as much as other people have, and she did actually allude to that in a statement. She did say that she felt like she was distant from Sebastian, like she didn't even know him, kind of thing. And then that's why when the father opened the package at the end, that's why that hit me so hard, because here this woman is the nanny, the caretaker, the babysitter, and she took school photos with your child.
Yeah, the mom was like getting at the dad a little bit about like how come, you know, we were getting talked about because we weren't in the family picture day. And it turns out that Sylvia was in family picture day.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You know, so I feel like that's more what the conversation was around between the two of them.
Because Sylvia never actually appears in this episode, right?
No,
but she is
just in the
very present, knocking on the door or like sending him, you know, that weird ass message. Like I that was the part where I was like, thematically, I just have no idea what to even think about that. Why did he get the message like that? Kind of blinded myself, you know, to how much you guys were feeling this episode, to the point where, you know, I had to like really look at it and hear your point of view to change my rating. Like, I'm not dissatisfied with this episode anymore because did its work. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's cool.
But do you have any other like closing statements that you might want to throw out there? And
I do have one last thing to say. I think you should be a bit more open to the idea of the one-offs, just as a general, because what I think Atlanta has done really well in seasons 1 and 2 is create a world, and I think you may have said this as a matter of fact in one of your older episodes, is create this world that's so powerful, and like you understand that the absurd is real in this world, that they can afford to tell sideline stories and still make strong impacts on the viewers, and not necessarily have people be like, oh, but you may have been wanting to see what's going on with Ian and Van, but you're also very engaged in this. Like that reparations episode was just beautiful and brilliant. You know, it was just so perfect in every way, you know. And we might want to see what's going on with the gang in Europe, but at the same time, that's like really rich. And I think I got, besides the Trini episode, I think I got the most laughs out of the reparations episode. And I was completely stunned when you actually decoded or showed that the story in the pilot, well, not pilot, but the first episode is like based off of a true story. That was crazy to me. I was like, wow, that's insane. You know, I feel like there's power in the one-offs, and you shouldn't just write them off because it's not part of the main narrative. Because they are very valuable if you just take it as
I'm
something.
not doubting that they are very valuable. I like just a little bit of continuity, right? I am hoping after this episode, what we have like 3 episodes left, maybe,
possibly,
season. And I am hoping that they do tie up some of these loose ends. Exactly how in the first episode of Robin season, Ern is given this golden gun, and in the last episode, he has to make a choice about that golden gun, right? So I want something like that. I was shocked that White E wasn't in it because he was thematically in the other ones. So I'm a little bit lost following their stories, the main cast story, and then hopping back into this world. You know, it almost does feel like a different show. And I don't think that is actually a bad thing. I just know that that means that, you know, I'm waiting on the other stuff. But, you know, I do like the episodes. They're just not my favorite. But this, having this discussion with you definitely changed my opinion of this episode in particular, just because, you know, I was kind of blinded. I was kind of blinded by, you know, my own personal bias. And you definitely opened up, like, how great this episode actually is. Yeah.
I'm glad I could do that for you.
Yeah. Anything else? You're on Twitter. They can follow you at, remind me again?
I am D. Carrington.
And that's at Instagram and Twitter. He'll be announcing a new book soon. Great writer from Trinidad. Added a lot of substance to this episode. Thank you so much, man, for meeting with me. Really appreciate this.
I'm glad you agreed to talk.
So yeah, that is episode 7. But before I go, I wanted to say thank you again to Dion and all of my other subscribers. I know this video is coming out late and not what you guys are used to, but I really wanted to try something else out with this one, especially it being a one-off episode to get a different perspective. I think I'll also just post the full episode with Dion if you guys are interested in checking it out. So again, my Twitter DMs are open, the Discord is active, and I would love to engage with all of you more often. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode below. Like and subscribe, and I'll get everyone in order of doubles with slight pepper.